Before we get to your scheduled video, please remember that likes and comments tell YouTube to promote our work to other people, and subscribing to the channel tells you when something new drops. You can also head to the link tree in the description to peruse my books, join us on Discord, or support us on Patreon. You can get episodes of Journey of Wrestling and Violent Profiles early, as well as a load of other treats. Even just $1 a month earns you a name drop for being cool. Thanks for listening, and enjoy the show. Greetings and salutations, fellow Freddy's Mercury. It is I, Eric J. Chucky, joined as always by the boy.
Hey!
This is the Two Nerds Podcast. You got me that time.
There are little jokes that I do.
Yeah. We're talking about All In. Not the one that happened years ago. The record-shattering new one from Wembley.
It is good. Spoiler-free review.
Yeah. Well, damn, maybe we should start doing it this way more often. Now we can talk about all the cool people, and you have plenty of time to, like, comment, subscribe, and then maybe watch this later if you haven't seen it and want to. We got Distrucity KTL.
We got Passion Killer 711.
We got a guy from Ohio.
We got Rob.
All cool people. You know why? It's not because of the quality of their hearts or the way they comport themselves. Each of them gives me at least $1.
You can too, and be cool like them.
You could be the shittiest person in the world. You could be... No, I'm not going to say it. But if you gave me $1, I would be contractually bound, which I know you love, to call you cool. And we got a lot of show to talk about, so I think it would behoove us to keep the sass about an unresolved incident occurring during a pay-per-view to a minimum.
I will try my best.
I think we can manage it. Some stuff happened before the pre-show, which I don't know what we call that.
0 hour.
I guess.
That's the name of the pre-show, but, like, before the pre-show it's just time, and that doesn't have a funny name.
Time. During time. I guess Miro and Hobbs are gonna fight. That's meaty.
I think it was technically like the first hour of 0 hour, because there was 2, but the feed on the actual pay-per-view end of things, which is where we watched it through Bleacher Report, only showed the second hour. The first hour was just on YouTube.
I didn't watch that. So
There was a man who showed up that one of the people at Cultaholic was very happy about.
Grado is a British indie wrestling popular guy. I don't want to say darling, but he's popular, and I guess he does interviews too. And there was fully set up. Jeff Jarrett hit him with a guitar during an interview during the press tour for All In, and it really seemed like they were going to have a bit of a wrestle. And then there were no plans on the card for that until... I watch Cultaholic for my wrestling news. I think they're really good. Genuinely fun and interesting guys that put on a good show. We are not wrestling news. If you want to watch wrestling news, go there. But Tom Campbell of Cultaholic really thought it was a shame that Grado wasn't getting, a local guy wasn't getting billed, and started a very positive campaign to get it on the card, and lo and behold, it happened.
There we go.
Yeah.
And then Hobbs and Miro did themselves a big decision. They're going to have a fight at All Out.
Speaking of local British talent, one of the security guards, I did not notice it when I watched the clip the first time, is, what's his name? The very charming, muscular fellow who's bald.
Simon
Miller, that's right. Watch his stuff separately from the website he works for, if he still works for them. But yeah, he was one of the security guards. I think that's cool. I think he's a really, really nice guy. But the pre-show itself, man, what a build! What ups and downs. This is the second podcast we've done since Collision was a thing, right?
I believe so.
We stopped watching Collision.
We tried our best, but it's just not. It doesn't have the same vibe. It does feel different than Dynamite, and I like AEW, not what Collision is, which is a very slightly different thing.
And they have talent I like.
Yeah.
But I don't... Every time I walked away from that show, I walked away disappointed at least.
Yeah, I would watch Collision for the talent I like, but every time I watch Collision, it makes all the people who live in the house that I live in sad. Me included. So, we stopped.
I would be open to watching something else, especially with as relatively cheap as the service is. Especially because it's a place where we will likely see some continuation of the storyline I gave a shit about going into this pay-per-view.
Yeah, because in the I think it was the second match of the pre-show. They have it listed here first. So
I think it was first.
Was it?
I believe so.
Okay. Better Than You, Baby. MJF and Adam Cole. We haven't done a podcast since this has been a thing.
Which is saying something about how lightning in a bottle it's been.
I love this. I loved this whole storyline. I'm obviously a fan of MJF. I've made no secret of that. Chugs is great. I'm on his Discord, and I have subscribed to him on several occasions on Twitch. I like both these talents, but this is greater than the sum of its parts. These dudes caught lightning in a bottle. You absolutely were correct. Their whole storyline, starting from the feud over the title match all the way through to this, I have a hard time summarizing it because it deserves to be watched. It is the best wrestling storyline I've seen, and I don't know how long.
I don't mind being a tribalist little bitch in this scenario. What took Roman Reigns like years, these guys managed to do in a month or two. Damn, that has to hurt.
But
I mean, it's nothing new. It's retelling an old story. Even after we watched the show, I was comparing it to the Mega Powers. But
Mega Powers, I think there was a very famous, it was John Cena and somebody in the mid 2000s. I think it was Shawn Michaels.
Mega Powers I went with because it's older.
Yeah,
it's probably the oldest popular example.
But the thrown together tag team of face and heel who are feuding is it's such an old trope that it's gone beyond a dead horse. And they managed to take that, what could have been very rote by the numbers situation, and turn it into fucking spun gold. It bears going over more when we get to the main event, but they did win. They didn't manage to capture the AEW tag titles, but they beat Aussie and Open. And they are the new Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions, which means I probably will end up getting Honor Club, and thus this part of the storyline will have done what it exists to do and get me to buy Honor Club because I want to see more of this. And if it's going to happen on Ring of Honor and I have to pay to see it, I'm happy to.
Yeah. You know what else you can do is you can go on Discord if you want to chat about events live with us and live in the highs and lows and middles.
We rate the show. You do it every time. I do it occasionally, live as we're going. We rate things in frogs because frogs are better than stars.
Yeah.
You're welcome to include your ratings. The Discord is fun. Come, hang out.
Yeah. There's a certain guy we rag on a little bit. He's not done anything wrong ever. This is kayfabe for us.
Right.
That's all. It's just a work. This is a no drama Discord. Moving on to Jack Perry defending the FTW Championship against Hook. I thought this was on the actual show because it was more important than the title that opened the actual show. And I don't think the FTW Championship is worth a damn. It is a championship that in kayfabe they acknowledge is not acknowledged as a real title by the company it's in. And that's not played as a joke. It's just a thing they say to be like...
It has the same level of in-universe legitimacy as the $1 million title.
Less.
That's fair. It's not worth $1 million.
Well, and they never really, they don't downplay the $1 million title. They do when it first is introduced or returned or whatever, but then it's just it's a $1 million title. People give a shit about this. Whereas every time they reintroduce the FTW Championship, and like every
They
now
make
and
a
then,
point to go, it's not recognized by AEW.
This is not a real test. This is just the belt that Taz is allowing other people to touch. I thought this was a pretty cool match. Letting Jack Perry wrestle is a great way to get him over.
He's a good wrestler, and he's even better at doing... Like, he did good heel character work in this match that made him... since the last time we talked about AEW, Jack Perry turned heel.
It's been terrible.
It's been really bad. He has poorly chosen classical music as his entrance music. He's not good on the mic as a heel. He's, in fact, worse than he was as a face. It's been all sorts of bad. This got him over as a heel way more effectively than anything he's done so far. And it wasn't close.
Yeah, just put the man in the ring. He just does good stuff.
Just let him wrestle. He wrestles as a heel well. Like, just let him wrestle. Just let the man wrestle.
But, of course, Hook took his FTW title back by submission even, which is a big rub for Hook. And that's good, because Jax looks like he's gonna be gone for a little while, taking a little vacation, I guess. Moving on to CM Punk. He defended his real world championship.
God, I love that it's in quotation marks. I love that the name they put on the Tron is clowning on how silly it is.
This is an onion I cannot begin to peel.
So let's talk about CM Punk versus Samoa Joe. We'll start small. This wrestling match.
This wrestling match was okay. Samoa Joe, despite the fact that I love him, I would go to his backyard barbecue. I would give him the handshake hug that manly men do.
He is unquestionably the best Samoan Joe.
Yeah. There's some really good Joe on the Isle of Samoa who's trying his best, and I feel bad for him, but be more famous, buddy. Get a podcast or something.
It's real easy. Even we can do it.
He's oldered. Time does happen. Still, with the slower style he works, outpaced CM Punk by a lot. I was not fond of the Golden Vampire's shitty go to sleep. I've made up dumb names for it all week, but man...
Homie didn't do that move very good.
No, and I don't know that you should have been picking up Joe. I don't know that you should pick up Joe on the second rope.
Whereas, by contrast, I like this match quite a bit. I
thought it was okay. These guys 5 years ago could have put on a banger. But it's not 5 years ago.
Time comes for us all.
Yes. And as much as I am less charitable toward CM Punk in the ring or over the barricade than I am Joe, period, I think both guys put in a fine performance. It was a fine way to open the show.
I felt it was a pretty fun match. Well wrestled, told a good story. Of course, CM Punk went over. I'm not surprised by that. Obviously, I would have preferred Joe go over, but that was never in the cards.
I don't know what CM Punk's story is.
I will say on the wrestling, I did want to get this.
Oh yeah, please. Sorry.
I like the show. I like this match even more than I otherwise would have because I have been waiting for CM Punk to drop a Pepsi plunge for 10 fucking years, and he finally did it.
It wasn't a good one.
It was no, I don't care.
But it was a safe one.
He did it in a way that wouldn't kill Joe.
In that sense, I'm glad he tried to pick Joe up once before he decided to do a Pepsi plunge. And went, oh no, Sweet Tooth is heavy.
But you were saying you don't know what CM Punk's story is.
Yeah, and I think that's because nobody knows what CM Punk's story is. I think they are playing it by ear, literally moment by moment. It's made him very incoherent. And okay, I will hear the argument. It may fall upon me, crash like water upon the rocks, that he's playing the crowd and he's the puppet master and he wants me to be mad. Blah, blah, blah. I'm not mad. And I'm a guy who like, when I'm responding to, like, real heel heat that is too real, that is to say, I don't want to watch you anymore, not I want to see you get your ass kicked. I just don't, I'm not feeling it. I'm not worked. I'm confused.
I would like to be worked.
Yeah, I would rather be worked.
This will come up later in the show. The best thing a wrestling show can do for me is to actually manage to work me. That is, I'm, a lifelong fan. I'm in my mid-30s. I am hard to get. And if you do it, I will pay you all the money in the world. It is the best thing that a wrestling program can do. I would like to be worked by CM Punk. And CM Punk is a good pro wrestler. And he's still good on the microphone, although I think maybe his best days are behind him.
I'm willing to believe that's by choice also.
But I'm not. I'm just sort of waiting for Godot. I'm waiting for him to do something that actually captures my attention. Now, some of this is on me, because I don't watch Collision, and that's where he does most of his work. He might have done some stuff that got my attention in the last several weeks since I stopped watching. But I don't want to. So
because every time that he doesn't, it just feels worse.
I lose a little something every time CM Punk manages to mediocre up the joint.
It's like, okay, here's a great counterexample, and it's credit to the E. I hate Paul Heyman right now. I hate him. Every time he says my tribal chief, I want to punch him in the face. Which is the point.
Yeah, that's what he's supposed to be doing.
And I hate it. It is, CM Punk presently is like if Paul Heyman came out to the ring and delivered a promo that was okay.
Yeah.
And then did it again, and then did it again, and then did one that was almost great, but then went right back to the other thing.
So, all that said, it's funny to make a meme of it. I do want to address it directly, because I then want to specifically move on. Whatever happened, details are up in the air. There's 19 different versions going around. Jack Perry and CM Punk got in some sort of physical altercation. They're both suspended. Moving along.
A week ahead of the Chicago pay-per-view All Out.
Yeah. Moving along. Too much of the news coverage of this show has been this. Has been big internet drama and scuttlebutt and tabloid journalism. And it's overshadowing what was objectively a much better show than this bullshit.
There is a small part of me, and I didn't feel this way about last year. I've been wondering if this is a work.
Might be. And if so, good job. You did a good work. Yeah, everybody's talking. Great work.
If you can't get your Punk Elite match for whatever reason, this is okay. This is the Kroger Punk Elite match. Make a new one.
Fine. A+.
Store-bought is fine.
If it's a work, he can feud with Jack Perry after this, gives Jack something to do, gives him something to do. Excellent. Let's talk about the rest of the show.
Okay. The Bullet Club Gold versus Golden Elite match went exactly how I thought it was going to.
Oh, that's a fun little bit. We do predictions on the Discord before each pay-per-view, before every AEW pay-per-view, because that's the ones we watch, about...
I didn't mute the computer. I knew there was another thing I needed to do. Speaking of the Discord, that was the Discord noise.
Yeah.
It was not your Discord, that was ours.
But we do predictions. I did real bad this time. I was very surprised by a lot of what happened in this pay-per-view. This was one of the things I was surprised by. I was absolutely certain the Golden Elite were going to win, because they're the Golden Elite. It's Hanger, Kenny Omega, and fucking Kota Ibushi. Of course they're going to win. No, they didn't. Bullet Club Gold got the W.
No, and because as everyone was complaining, why wasn't this a singles match between Kenny and Takeshita? Because that match is coming next week.
Yeah, that's going to be the all-out match.
And I don't know that Kenny's going to win. I think it would be a good story if he did, but I think it would also be a great rub for Takeshita if he didn't.
Yeah, either way is good.
Yeah. It's not the same as the main event of this show, but you've basically booked yourself into a win-win situation. And good job.
Yeah, it's always nice when you do that. And again, the main event of this show. I will talk about that.
I don't have a lot to say about it. The guns are great. Juice Robinson is a transformative being, and I created him. He doesn't know that, but I do.
Juice Robinson, if you go back and listen to even like 2 podcasts about AEW ago, this was an anti-Juice Robinson household. He's completely turned us all around.
Well, so there's a lot of talent that they get from Japan. Weirdly, the Western talent that has been in Japan and came back starts wrestling really slow. They very Japanese style. And, the reason I don't really care for New Japan, basically. And it takes them a while to move up to AEW speed, which has a lot of luchadors in it. So it's usually very fast, very hard-hitting, quick, and all that. So that was part of it with Juice and Jay White. The other part was they needed to get together because Juice needed a straight man, not face Ricky Starks.
And through that alchemy and adding in the beautiful fucking guns, Austin and Colton, that Bullet Club Gold, the Bang Bang Gang is the best thing working on Collision. Like, when we watched Collision, it was the funnest. They were the
highlight.
They were consistently, every week, the best part of the show.
They carry around a cardboard cutout of
Switchblade.
Cardblade, yeah. It's amazing. What good idea.
Juice Robinson is great. I have fully turned around entirely on him. I accidentally worked myself into being a huge fan of his. A+ work.
Yeah, thank you, Juice, and everyone involved.
Heel Takeshita, great.
Yeah.
Excellent choice. Don Callis is a perfect mouthpiece for him. Yep. Don Callis is Satan.
And a genius. He managed to do the thing Jack Perry fumbled. Not that it was necessarily his decision, who knows. But he mentioned that the reason his entrance music is just a droning noise is so that you don't sing along with it.
Yeah, he doesn't want you to be happy when he shows up.
So, which, that makes sense. Why not have a classical piece? I would have gone with a less recognizable classical piece.
And he went with just a literal droning noise. Just the most bad thing.
A pitch-shifted vuvuzela down.
Great. Like, genius shit.
But this was also a pretty good match.
Yeah. I don't think there were any bad wrestling matches on this card. There was, one that was mediocre.
There was one that was 50-50. I will say that.
But, I'm absolutely happy that the Bullet Club... I'm a huge fan of the Elite, obviously, but this is a good win for them. This is especially for Takeshita, because this is a real good bump. And if he does lose to Kenny, he still has that pinfall victory over him. Mm-hmm. And if he manages to beat him twice, so you've made a star.
Yeah. Moving on to the AEW Tag Team Championship match. That was the Young Bucks versus FTR.
This was the only call that made me mad. This was the only blown call the whole night.
I can't claim to get it on an emotional level, but I get it on a business level.
I don't even get it on a business level. One of these two sells more shirts and it's not FTR.
Who would use that kind of metric to decide who is a good person in a wrestling match?
Every pro wrestler. It is unfortunate, but true.
I was trying to make fun of CM Punk. Why didn't you let me have that?
Look, of all the things CM Punk has done, waggle his dick about how many t-shirts he sells is the most pro wrestler thing he's ever done.
It's the most sports entertainment thing.
Hey!
I think that's stupid when anyone does it. What a ridiculous behavior. But anyway, Seth Rollins cough. This match was okay. I think both of these guys are better than they gave here, but I had a good time with it.
Yeah, they didn't seem into this.
Well, you know what? I remember this now that you mention it. Dax specifically had a hard time with pinfalls.
He kept missing. There were at least 2 times, and I believe more that I can't be sure about. So I'm not gonna burn the guy for those. I can't be sure, but there were at least 2 times I'm sure about where he fucked a spot up where he fucked up a breaking up the pin spot that required one of the Young Bucks to break up their own pin to not end the match.
There was also a couple of times where he needed to kick out, and he didn't do it with any ounce of authority.
He wiggled a little.
Like, they might have been jet lagged. I'm not trying to be critical.
Everyone has a bad night at the office. I'm not hating.
It was just something that took me out of the match, and it was not either of these guys' A game.
No, I mean, like, and these are two, obviously, FTR is a fucking world-class tag team in terms of wrestling. I only think this is a blown call because of outside factors that make Cash Wheeler specifically a poor investment as of current. But perhaps they have more faith than I do, and if so, fine. But I genuinely think the Bucks should have taken this.
I really thought they were going to. Not that I think the Young Bucks need. These are two teams that don't need it.
The Young Bucks didn't need to win this match at all. They should have for outside business reasons. It's the only reason I think it was a blown call. I think it's unnecessary risk on your tag team titles.
Hopefully not. Hopefully the singable reports are padded. But we will move along from more real world news to get into the fakest, dumbest shit I've seen in a while. The Stadium Stampede match.
This was a match of contrasts. The first half of this match and the second half of this match are different matches. And one of them's good, and one of them's not.
I have noticed a downward trajectory for AEW's hardcore themed matches since we started watching. Each one is somehow less good than the last.
I don't know that I've seen that same pattern, but certainly the first half of this one did not live up to its pedigree.
As cool guy Destrucity mentioned in our Discord, which you could mention things there too. Again, you ain't got to pay to join. Links in the description, in the link tree. This was more like an Anarchy in the Arena match. There wasn't a horse. There were no golf carts. There was no big wild action.
But they're in a stadium. Hence, it is a stadium stampede.
They're also in the UK. It could have been Anarchy in the UK. I know that's trite, but sometimes that's the right thing to do.
Sometimes the simple call is good.
That said, is this one of those times where the work worked for you? Because we thought Penta was legit injured.
Yeah, dude, they got me. Like, I genuinely thought Penta got injured. Like, because they took him out quick and quiet and didn't mention it very much. And then the match just continued on without him, and it was on a semi-dangerous spot, like a chair shot pile driver.
That kind of flubbed up.
Yeah, that kind of flubbed up, thus lending more credence to the idea that it might have, who was it who was doing that move?
It was Mike Santana.
It was Santana.
Mike Santana.
I'm not doing
Big Daddy Cool Diesel.
But lending more credence to the fact that he might have botched it. And he was gone for a long time. Turns out, no. Your boy Penta just had to do a mid-match entire outfit change while his team was getting their ass beat. What a king.
He had faith. And well-deserved faith because his team won. Did an insane spot off of a broken ladder, front flip pile driver through 2 tables.
How are you going to be climbing a ladder, the as you put it, shitty UK ladder breaks mid-climb, and you just... I missed how he got back up to the top. I think he just jumped.
Just Penta powers.
And then
it's Penta Oscuro. He's too strong.
And then do this very dangerous spot from a ladder, which is actively broken. The man's insane.
Look, MJF is a generational talent. I am not here to argue. Penta is probably my favorite wrestler working right now. And my heart sank when I thought he was injured. Because, like I said, the only thing I gave a shit about going into this show was the main event. Like, that feud. And to have lost Penta from AEW, I was destroyed. When he came back, it wasn't, it was, oh, thank God.
But they worked me.
Yeah.
They got me good.
I
believed them.
The first half of this was really dumb and lame, and even the announcers were having a really hard time calling it with enthusiasm.
You and I have been in dispute about this. I'm almost certain that's because the first half of this was just the next best thing to a squash match. It was just the BCC beating the fuck out of those guys. There wasn't much back and forth.
And you might be right. I didn't observe that personally, but maybe.
And that doesn't make for exciting television. But then around about the time Penta comes back, it all starts kicking off because then the comeback starts.
Yeah, and a little bit before that, it started getting really... And it's not just like I hate the BCC, so when they're winning, it's dumb. They were also just kind of winning in a boring way.
Yeah, I mean, I like... Basically, Mox is the only person I even have a real, conflicted issue with in the BCC, and that's only because he sometimes chooses to do weird, dumb promos.
I'm not a huge fan of Santana and Ortiz. So, as cool as it is that they're back in, a general sense...
I'm glad Santana's back. He was injured.
I'm happy for him. And it's good to see that these two friends who apparently had some behind-the-scenes issues made up and are tagging again.
Yeah, they worked it out. Good for them.
That's awesome.
Always happy to see friends work it out. Hug it out.
You gotta give the people what they want.
You gotta.
But I wasn't, over the moon and now Santana and Ortiz are here. It's the real. It was just okay.
Yeah, and Moxley is, as much as he sometimes chooses to do dumb promos, really fucking good. And Claudio, of course, is amazing. Has done nothing wrong ever.
No, he's not. Other than what he did to Eddie Kingston.
Yes, all the very many obvious, very real crimes that he did to Eddie Kingston that Eddie Kingston will never let go. And I still care about.
I care.
We care. The Two Nerds household cares about Chikara shit no one cares about.
I really do.
I love that they don't let it go. It's so beautiful. It's so old school wrestling that Eddie Kingston and Claudio Castagnoli won't let it go. That they're committed to the bit.
That Eddie is literally on site with Claudio.
At all times. Forever.
But yeah, to reiterate, the best friends, Eddie and Penta, won. Congratulations to them. We didn't talk much about Orange Cassidy. That's because he was just regular Orange Cassidy, that is to say, excruciatingly good.
Orange Cassidy is amazing. Orange Cassidy is the most prolific champ in AEW. He has the same number of title defenses as Roman Reigns, and less than a fifth the time.
Once again, AEW doing really cool shit in a really short amount of time compared to specifically Roman Reigns.
But it's... And his... On Wednesday, did you hear? He has a title match.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
With Penta.
Yeah. I don't think Penta's going to win, but it's going to be a good match.
The winner fights Mox it all out.
Yeah. And in that sense, it could be Penta.
So that they can do Penta Mox?
Yeah.
And so that Orange Cassidy may finally rest.
But, I don't know. I could also see it being Cassidy and Mox. I don't know. But that was... that match was 10 minutes of and 10 minutes of
And thus is mediocre by the waiting.
Next we come to the Fatal 4-Way match for the AEW Women's World Championship. Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, Tony Storm, Saraya, and the person I forgot was in the match, champion Hikaru Shida.
Oof. This match was perfect. This match did what it came to do. This match wasn't anything to write home about, certainly, but wasn't bad by any stretch of the imagination.
I loved Paige. Paige was one of the two best wrestlers in the WWE, female wrestlers. I don't remember who was wrestling as a male wrestler at that time. That's a strange fact that I've just discovered about myself. But Paige and AJ Lee, amazing. Fantastic. Paige has lost a lot. Saraya has lost a lot.
She's honest about that, though. She, in the post-match interview, was very honest about how when she came back, she had a lot of rust. And she's doing her best. And now that she's, spoilers for the match, the champ, she's going to be doing a lot more singles work. And hopefully, we're going to be getting back up to full speed.
Yeah, I don't think you should make someone who can't run the ropes your champion.
I feel like you're putting too much weight on a single blown spot in the match.
I'm not talking about a single blown spot. I'm talking about every time she's run the ropes since she's been back.
I don't see what you see.
I
fully disagree with that assessment.
That's fine. I think we should take you to the doctor about your time of temporary blindness that it keeps occurring, specifically when Saraya's in a ring. But I have been at the very least underwhelmed by her. And I get it. I get it on all angles. I understand that she was very seriously injured and was certainly not training during that time. I understand that it's a lot to get back up to the wrestling quality that she was before, and she's aged since then. I get that you want to give a hometown person a huge victory and all your other hometown people exploded. I get all of it. I wouldn't have done this, but I get it.
It's not the call I would have made. If I were booking this match, I probably would have had Hikaru retain. It's not the call I thought would happen. I thought Britt was going to win because I didn't realize she was working a little hurt and thus probably wouldn't.
She's had back problems since the beginning of this year, I think.
Because that's just where you crown your... She's got a reality show. It's where you crown your big face, which they clearly want to be Britt. But I understand entirely why you do the British Bulldog. You do the Davey Boy Smith. She's got to win here.
Yeah.
She showed up with her whole family in her entrance, bro.
And if I was more behind her, I would have really enjoyed that moment. I think there are better wrestlers than, all four of these women in AEW's women's division, the extended AEW ROH women's division. So it's kind of sad.
Who do you think is the best female wrestler in AEW ROH?
Wow. That is a difficult question. I am going to tentatively say...
You can give me a couple if you think it's a close race.
Maybe... it's between Stat, Athena, and Mercedes Martinez.
That's a fair grouping.
Mercedes Martinez is a little slowing down. And I don't mean that to be offensive, just observational. Athena will miss a good spot now and then.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And Stat is she's been injured a lot, so I don't have as firm of a grasp on her capability. She's also been mostly wrestling on Collision, which I stopped watching. So it's kind of a mixed bag. But what's that young girl? She's really good.
I forgot her name. Yeah, no, she's good though.
She's really good.
But I would say that, Hikaru is about as good as everyone else in this ring except Toni Storm, who is the best wrestler in this match.
Toni Storm, I would say, is the best wrestler in this match. I would also say Ruby Soho is in contention.
Ruby Soho and Toni Storm are two of the best wrestlers in AEW, two of those female wrestlers. And I'm hoping that the Outcasts break up, not because I didn't like them, because I did like them, but because you're bunching up all your best people. Spread them out a little.
Well, yeah, I didn't care for the storyline either, but I think there are better stories to come out of them splitting at this point, with Toni Storm going even more insane, with Saraya getting a good reign out of her little championship win, very important, and Ruby, much like she got into the stable, being sort of caught between...
Yeah.
Yeah. So, we'll see how things go. I'm actually more interested after this match in what's going on in the women's division than I was before, so I have that to say for it. This match was my big refresher from the pre-show. Swerve Strickland and Christian Cage with Prince Nana versus Darby Allin and Sting in a coffin match. I really liked this one. I had a lot of fun. This
match was real fun.
It was really good.
Good on Christian for stepping up when circumstances dictated that AR Fox couldn't be in the match.
That was a terrible... Look,
they booked that terribly. They could have just had him be not available. It's fine. You don't need to address it.
Well, they could have even had Swerve be like, you've really disappointed me. That's it. You're out of the match. Not, I kick you out of the stable and turn you face.
Exactly, yeah. You're out of the match is fine. That's a fine punishment. You could have Brian Cox in the match. It's fine. Or Brian Cage. Brian Cox is an actor.
I was going to say I missed that part of the match.
But...
It's the halls of medicine coming at you. That's Dr. Cox. Jeez, are we doing the thing? We doing the meme?
I'm stopping the meme.
Is he the guy with the sonic screwdriver?
No, I'm stopping the meme!
Okay.
But,
oh, jeez.
You could have had Brian Cage, but Christian Cage is the next best thing.
No. No.
Good on him. Good on him for stepping up and taking his gimmick back. You have a dead dad. I smell dead dad on the wind.
That they address it recovered that otherwise insane segment. That Christian went out and was just like, heard you got a dead dad. I'm something of a dead dad exploiter myself.
But it was a dumb gimmick. It was a dumb decision storyline-wise, but good things came of it in that he did a great job in this match. This match was really fun.
Yeah, I had a really fun time with this. Of course, Darby Allin and Sting won. Sting doesn't lose.
Sting hasn't lost a match in, what'd that sign say? 2,500
almost
something
3,000
days?
yeah. And I will speak of my own CM Punkitude here.
Uh-huh.
I'm always mad when Goldberg comes back and doesn't lose.
Always.
It's different for Sting.
It's not the same.
I can't explain why. I think maybe he's nicer and doesn't headbutt lockers for no reason before his match.
Goldberg goes dun 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 dun. Sting goes dun 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 dun. It's not the same. I'm sorry.
Sting is in fact under pressure and a monolithically better song. I have nothing else to say about that. I'm glad they tucked Swerve's dreadlocks back in the casket.
So he can officially lose, yeah.
I appreciate that was addressed, that they pointed to it, and they were like, oh, well, he is unconscious in there, so that we just push him in.
Just tuck him in.
Yeah, great match. You know what else was a great match, kept my buy-in, was Chris Jericho versus Will Ospreay. I was really worried about this one because sometimes Jericho pulls a Jericho.
Jericho's old. Jericho sometimes isn't batting 1,000 anymore.
He also really loves the fire extinguisher spot.
He does, and he's so bad at it.
I cannot remember the last time a fire extinguisher spot with Chris Jericho went off.
He loves it, and he's terrible at it. And
it looked
I almost rate the commitment.
It looked like every time he does it, it looks like Punk trying to hit
a buckshot
lariat. Yeah. Hangman standing there going, anytime.
Anytime you're ready.
Anytime. Chris is fumbling with the fire extinguisher. I'll get it soon. Okay, I'll be here.
But I will say, I haven't heard Will Ospreay. The promo Will Ospreay gave in the big contract signing before this was divisive between you and I because I loved it.
Between you and I, you are in the vast majority opinion. Most people loved it.
I loved it. It was great. And notably, I don't normally give a shit about Will Ospreay as a character. He's a good pro wrestler. But it's not like I'm really bought into him as a person. This bought me into him as a person. Him just going full Chav Lord is A+.
Well, and I mean, it says something because he did just cut the Dax Harwood promo.
Yes.
And still managed to get it over with most people.
Well, if you don't do that promo every week, it has a little juice.
I suppose it does, doesn't it? It was his voice was the problem. I've heard Ospreay cut promos before. He's great. He was really intense.
He was doing an accent.
He was really he was playing up his accent and being very intense, and it made him sound like a barking dog. And I don't mean like a metaphor for like he had a lot of zazz and was really juiced up, but probably wasn't actually going to do anything about it. No, I mean like a lot of his words sounded like boof, boof, boof. And I didn't know what he said, except for bruv. So it was boof, 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 bruv, boof, boof, bruv. And that, to me, was not an effective promo. But you heard it.
I could understand him, and he was absolutely really playing up. He was doing a bit. Like that was
sure, because I've heard him do other promos.
Very much playing up the accent, to play on his working class roots, as it were.
Yeah.
And it worked gangbusters on me. I loved it.
Another thing that really this should have been a fine match going in, but they did like a triple Chris Jericho quadruple turn, a big show turn on the way to this event.
Chris Jericho turned face and then heel 19 times on the way to this show.
And none of them were a good idea.
No.
And then he got there, and it was just like neutral versus neutral. Nobody really cared.
Yeah, it evened out into just two wrestlers,
yeah.
But then they just decided to do a really banger match, so it worked out.
Yeah, I mean, Will Ospreay carried it 100%. This was on his athleticism. But Chris Jericho, he elevated it.
He held up his end of the match.
Yeah, he held up his end of the bargain. It looked great. Fantastic stuff. Probably the best match I've seen from Chris Jericho in AEW.
Just real good shit. Real good match.
Yeah.
Ospreay fucking just does those.
He does. I can't say I'm an Ospreay fan, but game respects game, and as an amazing professional wrestler myself, you can't prove me otherwise. That Ospreay kid's got something going. Moving into my least favorite match of the night. Will Ospreay won, by the way. I don't remember if I mentioned that. House of Black defended their trios championships with amazing attire and a lovely Bray Wyatt tribute against Billy Gunn, badass Billy Gunn, and the Acclaimed.
So we should talk about this.
Yeah, this is a long podcast, and it's only going to get longer because the main event exists. It's stupid. I'm going to recognize that it's kind of stupid, especially because it's 2023. But there are certain things in wrestling that I don't feel like you should fuck with. And ironically, the example I'm about to give is, I think actually a counterexample of that would be very clever and fun. But, like, if a luchador in real life didn't care about their mask and wore a mask and, like, played up the honor of it, but then was just like, meh, you know, going around naked-faced and going, hey, it's me, El Lucha Libro. God, that's a great name, and I just came up with it. However, I think it would be funny if there was a match where they, like, ripped off the luchador's mask, and he was like, meh.
I mean, and then he beats their ass.
I've got more. You're a dick. But, like, if you leave your boots in the ring, leave your boots in the ring. It bothers me. And it probably shouldn't. It's probably something I need to grow past as a wrestling fan, but it bothers me.
Because clearly wrestlers don't give as much of a shit about this as you do.
No, yeah, clearly, because it's happened twice now, and both times I've been disappointed. But the fact that they reserve it, supposedly, for these big retirement angles, as Billy Gunn did, shows that they know.
Well, it's one of those things where it is something that they take seriously, but for a pro wrestler, that all that means is you should be careful about using it as a word.
Sure.
Not that you shouldn't.
And
wrestlers have nothing. They will not use it as a word.
It is a much less serious version of throwing up the X as a gimmick. Don't do that. Don't make people actually scared. What they did with Penta was a great version of not throwing up the X as a gimmick. They did the thing where they don't focus the camera on him. They played on a lot of the tropes.
They did all the secondary stuff.
Yes. But they didn't do the thing.
They didn't just directly lie.
Yeah. Which means you need to be fucking worried. I talked about this at the top of the show. I don't have the same reactions that your average wrestling fan does. Sometimes it makes it harder to interface with wrestling. A lot of times, in fact. I wish I could just reprogram my brain for that, but here we are. You know, one of my favorite wrestlers of all time retires. I don't want to see him back. If you've retired, you've retired. I don't need to see, I'll use a different guy because of recent tragedies, Mick Foley return for one more match. Or Ric Flair, for that fucking matter. So, like, they do this big retirement angle. Billy goes away for a couple weeks until Malachi and the boys beat the crap out of the Acclaimed. And then Billy comes back and says, I'm going to do one more match, but I retired daddy ass, so I'm going to be the badass Billy Gunn. And then he comes out in a t-shirt and an old pair of his trunks. Not even that old. I'm talking about like 8 years ago old. Maybe not even that. No special music. No special entrance. He just sort of comes out and... They did not best capitalize on this decision. They didn't capitalize on this decision. It just sort of happened. And then they won.
Of course they were going to win. There was no universe where they lost this. This was the call on the... Alright, so on the night, I, again, did not do a great job predicting any of the results of this show. This and the results of the tag team title match, I was 100% sure on. Now, I was wrong about the tag team title match, but this is the obvious story beat is that they win.
Sure, no, and I knew that when I hoped that the House of Black would win. I hoped that logic would prevail, and that's why I made that call in my own predictions. But I don't think the Acclaim... I don't think Max Caster has been good since before they lost the tag titles. He was doing really well in the lead-up. He was doing really well after they first captured the tag titles. I can't speculate to the reason. He lost a few steps with me. I don't think that deserves being rewarded, the Trios Championships, from a team that is... that are good champions, but have been struggling with bad decisions from bad creative.
But notably have been putting on banger matches.
Yes, they've been doing amazingly in the ring. And like, in terms of in-ring content, this was pretty good.
I think no one ever utilized the House of Black rule, the House of Black match, the special rule the challenger gets to pick. No one ever really utilized that super well.
The only time anyone has was literally this match.
No, one time someone banned Julia Hart from ringside, and that's a good use of that, because they do use her.
It was fine, yeah, but, like, it wasn't that, important.
But, like, this, it's just, I wish that had gotten more play. But hopefully this means that the House of Black is going to split up, and maybe Buddy and Brody go and do tag team stuff, and Malachi goes for a singles belt.
Yeah, I don't think this is the fall of the House of Black or anything. I think their gimmick is, God, I hope it's not. That would be so stupid. But
House of Black is excellent. Don't go anywhere.
Yeah, I don't agree with this call. Even my emotions about William Ass aside, I would not have done this. I do not think it is a good idea. I just not the call I would have made in any sense of the word. And
much in the same way that I feel about the FTR.
Yeah. I feel like it was a weak call. But you know what? So we do the frog ratings, the star ratings, as you mentioned, and most shows average about 3 stars.
Because math is the thing.
Sure. This final match, and I'm going to let you take the wheel like so much Jesus, elevated it in emotion to a 4-star show for me.
This MJF and Adam Cole's friendship storyline is the best wrestling storyline I have seen, and I can't think of a better one right now.
There's maybe some stuff I cared about more in the Attitude Era when I was more of a mark.
Yeah, but like there's stuff that emotionally impacted me more because I was a mark when I was a child. But like, this was perfect. It is so rare in my life that I have a wrestling thing that I watch where I have no notes. I have no quibbles. I have no complaints. I have nothing I think they could have done better. I have nothing to nitpick. This just went right. I think one of the best parts of it is that it was consistently surprising. I didn't expect them to go this way with the MJF-Adam Cole rivalry at all. I didn't expect it to last as long as it did, and I certainly didn't expect them to win the Ring of Honor tag team titles any more than I expected them to win the AEW ones. And even more than all of that, to have the whole match, the whole main event happen, and neither one of them ends up turning on the other, I wouldn't have made that call.
I didn't make that call.
As a booker, I'm not brave enough to make that call. If I'm booking this show, I don't make that call. I have one of them turn on the other. I probably would have had Cole turn on MJF and do the double turn. This is better than I would do it. If I had all the money in the world and could book whatever I wanted, they beat me. I'm so fucking happy.
I didn't think it was a 5-star match by any stretch, and that's just because of literally the action. MJF wrestles closer to strong style, American strong style, as the joke goes. That is a choice he makes. He is absolutely trying to emulate 80s wrestlers, except for certain move choices he uses. But like the way he moves, the way his mannerisms are, the way he works a crowd is very 80s wrestling.
I think it was a 5-star match because the wrestling was good. The wrestling MJF is doing, like, that is a stylistic choice and he does it very well. And more importantly, the story of the match, the psychology of the match was perfect.
I will agree with that. It didn't take me to that place. And that's just down to preference, though. I would never disagree with someone saying this was a 5-star match, with that being their opinion. I wouldn't rankle my nose. I don't share that opinion necessarily, but I absolutely get making that declaration because it elevated the entire program. The bookends for this show on 0 Hour and then the main event were expertly pulled off in a way that was surprising, entertaining, and good.
I could talk for a long time about the MJF Adam Cole. Just not even the whole feud, not even the whole storyline, which I love. Just this match. Because there's so many little pieces of storytelling throughout the entire match. The match is filled with callbacks to the whole storyline they've been doing this whole time. And they've only had like a month, and they still managed to fit in an entire match's worth of callbacks. There is a specific thing that I want to mention. I don't want to, because the other option is I do the Guardians of the Galaxy podcast about this match. And I don't want to do that. At the end of the match, after MJF has won, they have a draw. MJF says that they're going to keep going until there's a winner. He manages to pull a win out with a roll-up. MJF, Maxwell Jacob Friedman, throws his title away to go comfort his friend. That is one action that bespeaks such amazing wrestling character development that he's the best wrestler in the world.
Well, and you said you as a booker wouldn't have had the bravery to do, they are both really good friends at the end of this match. And I think that's because I don't believe this was a booker's decision. I think this was MJF and Cole's decision. Now, that's just speculation. I have a lot of faith in Tony Khan as a booker. Sometimes he makes missteps, but, we're all fallible. Check out Journey of Wrestling.
Tony himself says he certainly doesn't get it right all the time.
Sure.
He said that in the media scrum last night.
If I had been there when this lightning bottle occurred, this is booking toward fan reaction and wrestler idea done right. I feel like basically the Acclaimed entire storyline, the major turns of it have been not wise. This is the opposite. This is using that same mentality of striking while the iron's hot and keeping the iron hot as long as you can. Could they have ended this feud here? Or gone to the next leg of it and had the turns and now they're antagonists toward each other? Yeah, and that's what I predicted was going to happen. I thought Cole was going to win after they captured the tag titles together, and there would be the how can they coexist storyline. And I was excited to see a brilliant version of that because
they've done everything else well. Any of the endings to this match were good.
Yes.
They booked themselves into a situation where MJF turning on Cole, good. Cole turning on MJF, good. The absurd fantasy universe where neither of them turns on each other, that definitely isn't going to happen, my brain said, good. There were no bad options.
Yeah. I have one criticism.
Let's hear it, because I genuinely have none.
Of Adam Cole. Commit more to your stupid video game ideas. Kenny Omega comes out dressed as Sephiroth to One-Winged Angel with a giant Tron wing, shifts his entire character persona for the entrance to be more intimidating and menacing. Adam Cole comes out in, was Johnny No Face? What's his name? Handsome Jack. Reference cosplay, and it's barely like a thing.
I mean, the one time he really did commit, the internet clowned on him.
Well, he was wearing like half a Halo armor. That's why I'm saying commit all the way.
Show up as John 117, just in the full Spartan gear.
Get the full Spartan gear. Get a fucking cosplay made. You have money. Your girlfriend is a super successful dentist / wrestler. That sounds like a fake thing for Barbie. Get a cosplay commissioned, come out in the whole thing. I know it's going to take a while to take off, but MJF takes an hour to take off a shirt. Commit, Adam, you sweet man. Commit. I would love to see what's something else. Cloud. Kenny did Sephiroth, buddy. You do Cloud.
You gotta save that for Sephiroth, for Adam versus Kenny. Though.
Sure. Or so come out as what else is he like? The Witcher. Come out as Jerry the Witch Boy.
No, that would be dope. He could pull that off.
He could pull that off, yeah.
A wee little girl.
If Matt Mercer can pull it off, you can pull it off.
Let that be a lesson to all of you.
Yeah.
If Matt Mercer can pull it off, you can pull it off.
No, that's bad
no,
advice.
that's bad advice. That's terrible
Terrible.
advice. He's really good at his
Pertaining
job.
to D&D, don't do that. Visually, if Matt Mercer can pull that off, Adam Cole, similarly sized man, can pull that off. But yeah, that's literally the only complaint I had. Just because I didn't think it was a 5-star match does not mean I thought it was a bad match. I loved it. The psychology was amazing. Storytelling was perfect. These are two of the best, and I'm glad to see Cole back.
Yeah, I'm so happy.
He hasn't been bad, but he's been wobbly. The
He's
kind
been-
of ring rust I expect.
He's been getting his legs underneath
Yes,
him.
and
This was Adam Cole.
they are fully there. Nothing was blown. Great match. Very happy with it. Elevated the entire show. Made me excited to keep watching, and that's kind of what you want, I think.
I think that's all wrestling's supposed to be.